I'm Nisha DeGaring.
And I'm Doug Jessup. Welcome to this episode of Family Heritage Stories, where we talk about what makes us who we are. Things like traditions, values, and culture.
How are these passed down through generations? Through words, through deeds, through stories.
When was the last time you thanked a veteran? It's time for Veteran Salute Stories.
Well, I was a U.S. Marine, and the reason why I was in the Marine Corps was because I was trying to figure out a way to go to college when I was in high school. And only one recruiter came to that little single-A high school up in the mountains of Colorado, happened to be a Marine. Wish I had a better story about that. But after I signed up, and I was underage, so my parents had to sign for me as well, everyone was asking me, why would I choose the hardest, most challenging one? And my answer was, aren't there thousands of them? If they could do it, why can't I? So that's the reason how I got in initially, was trying to get help for school.
Tell me part of your journey as a Marine.
Well, it was a long 33-year journey. So after boot camp, I was assigned the MOS, Military Occupational Specialty of Aerial Photography, which even the drill instructors hadn't heard of. But I didn't get to go to that school because I was assigned to a reserve unit in Colorado. So my first MOS as enlisted was artillery. A few months later, I came to Utah to go to college at the University of Utah, and they changed my MOS to 0311, which is infantry, or as we would say in the Marine Corps, a grunt. So I started out as a private and made it to corporal. I think I became 0351 machine gunner before transferring into PLC, platoon leaders class, which is a officer program. So with that, I went in the summers to OCS, Officer Candidate School, 2 different summers, and graduated that. And then when I graduated college, after a long story, I actually accepted my commission and became a second lieutenant. I then went on active duty. In the Marine Corps, you have to go to 6 months of basic school, unlike the other branches of the service. As a Marine officer, you have to be an infantry officer first. So that's part of that schooling for 6 months. It's still pretty rigorous, like OCS. And then after you finish TBS, the basic school, you then get your MOS. So I actually qualified for the flight program, but I had made an agreement with my first wife that I would get out in 3 years. So I went into supply, and something I thought would transfer well later. And then after 3 years, when I finally picked up captain, I was selected for captain and had orders to Okinawa. That's when I really started to enjoy being a Marine. And I ended up getting divorced, and I ended up staying in longer. But when Clinton downsized the military, I opted for the severance package, and I got out and started corporate jobs while I was again in the reserves as an officer. And I ended up in Clovis, near Fresno, California, as a battery commander for Hawk and Stinger missiles. And when they decommissioned Hawk, I then got assigned to 1st Marine Expeditionary Force at Camp Pendleton. I got assigned with helping plan an exercise. A few months after we did the exercise is when 9/11 happened, and within 2 days, I was in uniform on active duty with 1-year orders. I got 1-year orders 11 times. So I spent most of those 11 years between Iraq and Afghanistan, with 1 tour in West Africa. I picked up another 4 or 5 MOSs along the way, but as an unrestricted officer, I didn't always work in my MOSs. I just plugged in wherever they need me.
What was the first day like when you went over to Iraq?
Well, it started out with the pilot saying we're landing in the largest sandbox in the world, and we're actually landing in Kuwait. So spent quite a bit of time in Kuwait, and then moved up to camp along the border of Iraq before we finally crossed the line going north as Saddam's missiles were firing overhead. It was an interesting experience. I don't know if you remember the show Twilight Zone, but those sirens going off and on. The air was so still after a sandstorm, and the sky is orange with all those particles in the air. So I'm looking at an orange sky, listening to the sirens, and we don't know what's in the scuds going overhead. So we're in our mop gear with the gas masks and the rubber suits. I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. And what I was doing was just observing everybody else's reaction as we're trying to fit in the bunkers. And I was half in, half out, just kind of watching. That was kind of my first experience of things really getting kicked off.
What's it mean to be a Marine?
Well, I suppose that means a lot of things, and it means different things to different people, I'm sure. But for me, not knowing what I was getting into in the beginning, part of the training in Marine Corps boot camp, besides discipline, is the heritage, is the history behind what it is to be a Marine. And so there's a lot of pride involved in that. But there's a lot of sacrifice too, and there's a lot of loyalty that you wouldn't expect to have. So there is a bond, there is a brotherhood with any of the services. I'm sure they experience the same thing, but Marines tend to be a little more extreme, maybe in good ways, maybe in bad ways. But there's a lot of pride about what it means to be a Marine. When I do things for family and others, I honestly enjoy it. It's what I live for.
You got a tattoo on your arm. What, you want to show that to me and tell me what it means?
Sure. So this is a stressed flag, and it isn't stressed for any negative reasons, but I just like that effect, and it's already getting a little faded. But my 5 children are in the stitching of this flag. And there's nothing I care more about than my children and their lives. And I care about my God, I care about my country, and all 3 of them are really what I live and will die for.
Veteran Salute Stories is made possible by a generous grant from the Fedora Foundation and viewers like you. There's something special about memories. It might be that one fragrance, or it might be that song, or just that TV commercial when you were a little kid. You know which one I'm talking about.
Bowling sure makes me hot and thirsty. This is a job for Kool-Aid. Hey, Kool-Aid!
Oh yeah, Kool-Aid here, bringing you fun. Kool-Aid's got thirst on the run. Get a big, wide, happy ear to hear Kool-Aid smile. 'Cause the biggest smile is a Kool-Aid smile. A Kool-Aid smile, a Kool-Aid smile. Dun-dun.
Your friend's cool. My friend's Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid brand soft drink mix.
9 Lives presents Morris.
Don't you love our vacation slide?
I've seen better pictures on cave walls.
That's you by the cactus.
Which is which?
Intermission, din din.
You go, I'll save your seat.
Don't be finicky, it's 9 lives.
I can picture that.
Liver chopped platter.
9 Lives chopped platter.
9 Lives, nutritious foods cats will really like, even Morris.
Get a close-up of this, 9 Lives.
What is one of your favorite memories about Grandma or Grandpa?
So she's lived in the same house over in Kingston. Not the entire family life, but the majority of it. So it's cool because they've recently sold it. So we're letting it go, but at the same time, there are so many memories. Like I lived in Santa Monica growing up from 4 to 11, but I would come up to Seattle to visit family, and there would be like these crazy, giant family parties with my aunt and my uncle making out while carrying the piñata, and I'm like, that's disgusting. And then like my cousins and I like playing hide and seek, and Grandma Pat's house was always where the family would gather. And it was also really cool because it was spacious enough that there was like the adult area, and then us kids could go downstairs and like play pool and whatever, all the cousins downstairs. And it meant a lot to me because I think I was only up there maybe 4 or 5 times while I was growing up. I didn't live here, you know, but it was always just so amazing to be able to just connect with everybody when I was little at Grandma Pat's house.
Hi, I'm Marty Gale. You're watching Family Heritage Stories, and we'll be right back.
Your history is everywhere, if you know where to look. But searching through all this? Are you kidding me? Actually, Kindex makes it easy to gather records and add them to your online archive. So everyone can jump in and index their records, making every word searchable. With Kindex, I know them anyway.
And now, Dad Jokes with Mike Agrilius.
Where does a killer whale go to fix its overbite? The orthodontist. Why did the kid want a phone charger for his milk? Because it was only 2%. All from the book, Whatever Floats Your Goat, the granddaddy of dad jokes for kids and old goats.
Hi, this is Doug Jessup. I want to give you a little background on why Veteran Salute Stories is so important to me. A while back, a group of Vietnam veterans came to Salt Lake City for a reunion. And one of the wives called up and said, "Hey, Doug, can you do this interview?" I said, "I would love to." So I got these 6 guys flying in from all over the country. The 159th Dust Off Medical Evacuation Helicopter Unit from Vietnam. We're talking medics and pilots of Hueys. To give you an idea, they took the guns off the ship, okay, so that they could get more patients on there. So now you're flying an unarmed helicopter. And as one of the guys put it, they decided to put a nice little red X on their aircraft, which made for really, really good target practice. Every single one of these 6 guys had done over 1,000 missions. Every single one of these guys had saved over 3,000 lives. Half of them were Purple Heart recipients. They told me stories that I was just amazed with. The stories were not originally intended to go on television. They were actually private interviews, because we do that on Family Heritage Stories. But I asked them, is it okay if we made a special? And to my amazement, they said yes. Well, it went out there, and people like you responded phenomenally well. And then we also put it online. And something about a month later happened that was just like, wow. We posted these 6 stories. Not 1, not 2, but 3 of the stories had comments on them. And I'm a news guy, so I had to fact check. And so I asked these guys, hey, has anybody heard of this person, this person, and this person? Oh yeah, oh yeah. The comments were things like, this was the guy that gave me my orientation on the first day coming into Vietnam. He's the reason that I came home alive. Another one was saying, this guy literally saved my life. Wow. The power of stories is incredible. Fast forward, recently, one of the gentlemen lives in Kansas City. And the folks from the Heartland Honor Flight saw the story. And they contacted this gentleman. And so he just came back, gave me a whole bunch of pictures. He was able to lay a wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldier. All because of a story right here on TV and online. That's the reason, the power of stories. And that's the reason we started Veteran Salute Stories, and that's why we're asking for your help from veteransalutestories.org. Thank you very much.
This is Lieutenant Colonel Lon Von Barr. You're watching Family Heritage Stories. Stick around, we'll be right back.
About 22 years ago, we were talking in the marketing discussions about we should have a jingle. And so we thought, well, who are we? What are we about? And if somebody was in their garden, what would they be thinking? And so we the marketing director, she wrote it, and then we worked on it for a couple more months, and we got it just right. And then we had someone take it to Missouri and had a professional singer sing it, and we used to put that on the radio. But you know what? I decided that I learned the song and I'm going to sing it. So here we go. Great gardens begin right here. Beautiful flowers year after year. So much to choose from, so much to see. So much fun for my garden and me. For the best selection of plants and trees. Come on in and you will see why every day's a great day at Mill Creek Gardens. Ba 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 ba.
The name of the show is Family Heritage Stories. What does heritage mean to you?
So I'm from Des Moines, Iowa. My mom was a federal employee. She's retired now.
Okay.
Moved us to Lincoln, Nebraska in the 2nd grade, stayed till the 8th grade, and then we moved here to Utah in the 8th grade.
Okay.
So I'm a Midwest girl.
Iowa. Okay. I have ancestors from Iowa, so I get it. Okay. Nebraska?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit of Nebraska.
How in the world do you, and don't say train, plane, or automobile, but how in the world do you get from Nebraska to Utah?
Hey, it's, you know, the federal government is just like a military child,
okay,
right?
Federal government. Okay,
you move quite a bit and you move for promotions, and that's what we did.
Gotcha. Okay. So, what was life growing up in Iowa?
Simple. I loved it. I enjoy the people. I enjoy the culture. I think that it has a nice, well-rounded culture, and my family was there. You know, so it was nice. I enjoyed it.
So, you have an interesting name.
Yes.
And you know, I have to admit, the first time I met you, I thought you were Hawaiian.
Right.
Okay, because
the name's Hawaiian.
Kamea. Okay, now admittedly, I got to do the Kamea because King Kamea.
Right.
You know, but
right.
So is there a story behind the name?
You know, my mom worked for Social Security, and she saw the name come across her desk in a file.
Really?
And she was pregnant, and she said, "I absolutely love this," and so I, half black, half white.
Okay.
My mom's half Irish, half Italian. My dad's African American, but he has a lot of native blood, right? And so I have a Hawaiian name.
Yeah, what the heck?
It's a great conversation piece. Specifically, once I moved here and we have such a large Polynesian population,
right.
I fit in just fine, right? I think it's been fun.
Now, I have some native background as well. I noticed that you're wearing a very colorful piece there. Do tell. Was that on purpose or accident? Or
I love it. I was married for 24 years. My ex-husband is Navajo Indian, and my children are Navajo Indian.
Okay.
I love the culture. Obviously, I embrace the culture, and I make sure that my children know exactly who they are. And I think their culture is beautiful. You know, I have native blood, and I love the culture. I love the things that make us different, but yet somehow the same.
There is a lot you can learn about traditions, values, and culture when you travel.
Our journey is aboard Windstar Cruises' 342-guest flagship, Windsurf, the world's largest sailing ship. The sight of the majestic sails blowing in the wind made me want to grab the wheel of this classic sailing yacht and explore the French Riviera. We decided to let the crew do the driving, but I will say we saw some pretty cool vessels in the variety of scenic ports we visited. You know, Chad was just ready to buy one of these, I could just tell, you know. Cannes is a city on the French Riviera known for the Cannes Film Festival. Now, Cannes is spelled C-A-N-N-E-S, but pronounced Cannes without the S. Yeah, confusing, I know, but here's something you might not know. The city has been around since 200 BC. Of course, when you're in France, you need to have French fries, right? So, I have to admit it, we stopped at McDonald's and got some pommes frites. Fancy word for saying French fries. It's nice in Nice. It's spelled N-I-C-E, but pronounced like the daughter of your brother or sister. Oh boy. Anyway, as the TV hat man, I could not resist getting a new beret. Chad and Rhea joined me and my wife on this cruise, so I do have to admit, Chad looked pretty darn good wearing my beret. The views overlooking the town of Cassis were incredible. Now, I don't think Camille was thrilled how close I got to the cliff, but you gotta get the video, right? I will say that Cassis was really welcoming to our group from Utah. Check out what we saw in this shop. My favorite stop was another Cannes sur Mer, which means by the sea. A number of French Impressionist painters, including Pierre-Auguste Renoir, called this beautiful seaside village home. There are a number of stops in town where you can see the views that famous artists painted. I decided to put away my paint by numbers, but yeah, you know, that's another story. As a history buff, it was interesting to tour medieval Chateau Grimaldi Castle that defended this port city since the 14th century. Sailing on the windsurf was an adventure I recommend.
Objects with stories are treasures remembered.
Objects with stories are treasures remembered. And I'm pretty sure Brandon has got some pretty cool treasures.
Here you have the bomb case from the series Lost. The passport of Dr. Jack Shepard, who is the principal character on Lost, along with his flight passes.
Hey! What's your name? Jack!
Coupled with the bomb case, which was part of the season finale. This is the pilot episode screenplay from J.J. Abrams, as well as items that were worn on screen by the Dharma Initiative, which was a key part of the entire plot that went for so many seasons.
Objects with stories are treasures remembered. I'm pretty sure he's got a bunch, but this one from Lost, I think's a winner. From old paintings to new videos on your kids' devices, we're all trying to do one thing. We're trying to make a connection. It's the power of stories. How powerful are stories? We asked Maura.
It's priceless. It's priceless to me because when I was first sitting with the guys listening to their stories, it's something you just can't get back. And there's a lot of stories I wish I would have had recorded from my dad, my mom, my grandparents. So at least we were able to get these stories recorded. And to have them videoed and digitized is key, because the younger generation, you know, sitting with my nephews, doing homework with them over COVID, they weren't looking at books, they were looking at screens, and they can look at this on a screen.
Everyone has a story. Sometimes those stories are told through music.
Je n'en veux pas des bijoux de chez Chanel. Je n'en veux pas, donnez-moi une limousine. J'en ferai quoi? Offrez-moi du personnel. J'en ferai quoi? Un manoir à Neuchâtel. Neuchâtel. Ce n'est pas pour moi, offre-moi la tour Eiffel, j'en ferai quoi? Je veux de l'amour, de la joie, de la bonne humeur. Ce n'est pas votre argent qui fera mon bonheur. Moi, je veux crever la main sur le cœur. Allons ensemble découvrir ma liberté. Oubliez donc tous vos clichés. Bienvenue dans ma réalité. J'en ai marre de vos bonnes manières, c'est trop pour moi. Moi je mange avec les mains et je suis comme ça. Je parle fort et je suis franche, excusez-moi. Fini l'hypocrisie, moi, je me casse de là. J'en ai marre des langues de bois, regardez-moi. De toute manière je vous en veux pas, je suis comme ça.
What makes you smile? Spry mouthwash helps me smile. I think it might help you too. It's our honor to be able to help people remember where they came from.
If stories are not passed down from generation to generation, they become lost. And it's as if these people never lived.
How do you want to be remembered? With another episode of Family Heritage Stories, I'm Doug Jessup.
And I'm Nisha DeGaring.